big, don't put it crazy.
Testing, testing, test.
Yeah.
Testing, testing.
Okay. Great. Great. Almost at 6:30. I'll call the meeting to order. We have no 3-minute delegations. I'll ask for approval of the agenda. Mr. Lee and Doug, all in favor? Carrie, thank you. Any conflicts of pecuniary interest? None declared. Can I get a motion to receive the minutes of our April 2nd meeting? Linda and Wendy, any business arising for those minutes? Any questions or comments? None, all in favor? Carrie, thank you. Delegations, Cam Mather, Tamworth Electric Vehicle Association requests that the township investigate the installation of a public EV charging station in Tamworth. Cam, if you want to come up to one of those microphones, if you can press the silver button, assuming it's turned on at the back, that should activate it. There you are. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thanks for taking the time to listen. I have had discussions with Big Tech in the past about an EV charger in Tamworth. That was 18 months, 24 months ago. Things seem to have changed a lot. There seems to be more of a critical mass of people that have them now. I've met a couple of young families who have purchased electric vehicles and have been challenged to charge them. And John Sinclair, who is co-owner of Sage Restoration at Boston Mill, he has an electric vehicle as well, and he was challenged by it. The charger in town, which I think was purchased by the church for the pastor, and the public was allowed to use it. It seems to be challenged right now. This is a picture I took on Friday. There's kind of a scary sign on it that says "Use at your own risk," and it's not maintained. And so I know the 3 individuals I've spoken to when they were trying to use it were very challenged to actually access it. So I sense it's probably a good time to think about one in Tamworth. It's not something that I feel comfortable taking on myself this time, just because of the issues with where it would go, whether it would be on township property, whether that would be best at the arena, or at the liquor store in that parking lot, or at the library, in terms of whether it needs 3-phase power, et cetera. So at this stage of the game, I'm just hoping that council may put some research into whether there may be federal money or some sort of other money around, and if there's a place in Tamworth where a charger could be. Krista works at the post office. She has an electric vehicle now. That seems like a good potential place, just because I think most of the systems require a cell phone, and cell service can be sketchy in Tamworth. library has Wi-Fi that you can access from outside, so if you were there with a cell phone, you'd probably get your car connected. I've also spoken to Hans Honecker and Kevin and Carol at the Tamworth Hotel, and I had a chance to tour both of those places on the Tamworth 175th, and they're exceptional places to come and visit and stay. I would hate to think that they would ever lose business because somebody was coming from far enough away that they didn't feel that they could get a charge in an electric vehicle. So yeah, that's the reason.
Great, thanks, Cam. Any questions for Cam? Are you thinking level 2 or level 3 or either or?
Either or. I mean, I think a level 3 would be great if the power is available. It would appear the level 3 chargers tend to be Tesla chargers, but that more and more cars are able to access Tesla chargers. I think there's more conversion abilities and what have you. I think that the challenge just could be power is what's required. And in the past, talking with Flo and some of those systems when we looked at it a while ago, it would be great if we could just sort of get some background on that as to where it might go and when power is available.
Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
Actually, I was just reading a story on this, I think it was 2 months ago, that Tesla's now authorized on any vehicle to use their chargers. You just need the adapter to go with it. So that's certainly going to be helpful.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, again, thank you. I think it's something we would have to look into. About 2 years ago, if I remember correctly, we did look into installing a charger. Level 3 at that time was about 50,000 and there wasn't any support for it whatsoever. So, I mean, we'd have to look at it. Sorry, Dave, how much was it? Was I right at 50,000?
Through your worship, I spoke to Cam a while back, and I'd had a change of heart when I kind of went over the latest round. And Cam doesn't know this because I haven't spoken in a while, but I already put in the application for crossing at the arena, across from the liquor store, for a level 300 kilowatt flow station. Yeah, and I had to do I got a letter from Hydro that the pole that we're going to come off of is and it's kind of almost laid out how it's going to work. I'm sorry that I'm kind of right in the middle of here. It's kind of almost full funding now from the government, and it was this is a provincial grant actually. It's provincial, yeah. And so, I mean, I'm hopeful that I haven't heard yet. I'm supposed to know, I think, later on this summer. That was just submitted in January. I'm sorry that I think I did mention it at budget time that and there was 2 other arena applications we were waiting on. But yeah, sorry, Cam.
No, that's great. And, yeah, and I mean the one family that I've met, when it needed a used car, they bought a Leaf, and which is an urban car. It had a 110 kilometer range, and so
yeah,
it was tough to get his work and back. So yeah, a charger like that would be awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Jake. I do remember that I was putting in that submission, and I kind of forgot. So I don't think we've ever had a delegation get such an instant. Talk about being out ahead.
So it's the way the world works for you.
It's amazing. Yes, Wendy, go ahead.
Jake, did you come up with an area for it, or are you still looking?
Yeah, through your worship, we were looking in the application. It is basically us stealing 2 parking spots right adjacent to the arena. That's something we could actually hardwire to internet in the arena. And for simplicity, you could put a simple light kind of shining down from the arena or if you wanted a surveillance camera, it's going to be kind of an easy spot. And that's kind of where we were hoping. And that's where, for those that don't know, we were thinking we would come off the bowl with a whole different service and not run service, which is right outside, where that utility room is in the arena, which is right there, kind of just east of the entrance across from the liquor store. I don't know how people are gonna feel about losing two prime positions. But I mean, I was kind of hoping in the future that there'd be enough electric cars that the parking spots would still get used anyway.
Well, I came unhappy off you one day, there was 2 electric vehicles outside, so, yeah.
One of them's mine. And really, this is more for travelers than anything. I mean, most of us just drive them overnight at home in the garage. But for example, the Leaf example, even if someone's coming from Kingston in the winter, they want to come up to Hamlin or something. It'd be dicey. It was a cold day to get back to Kingston, so it would be, eventually it's just gonna have to happen, right? Do you remember, Jake, what the program is, the provincial program that's providing the funding? Not putting you on the spot. I'll take that as a no.
I spent, months doing this. You'd think I would have something right on the edge of my tips of my tongue, but it escapes me. I'd have to. I could do a report to council.
It's okay. There's so many acronyms floating around. I mean, it's a big about turn for the provincial government, because when they came into office, one of the first things they did was tear out all the chargers from the service stations on 401. Go ahead, Sherry.
I'm just wondering if, I know we haven't been approved yet or anything, but would it be worth mentioning to the roads folks, since they're doing the construction there, in case it needs a space for a pad or something?
Yeah, through your worship, we actually did plan, and we've talked to them about, they're ripping up the road. So essentially, the road's already being ripped up between so we were already gonna just, like, even if, like, it doesn't cost that much to buy conduit to run from a pole to a potential location, even if, we don't get the grant, right? So it would be super simple, given we're already ripping up the road to install it right where we're saying. So yeah, exactly, Sherry, good for catching on to that.
Yeah, that's time too. Anything else? Ken? Oh, you're happy? Good. Thanks for coming. Thank you. Can I get a motion to receive Ken's presentation? When yes, Carrie, all in favor? That's Carrie, thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, Cameron.
Thanks, Ken.
Okay, so that's in the works already, that's great. Number 6, bylaws and resolutions, this is a tax levy bylaw. The motion would be that bylaw 2024 be numbered, the bylaw that establish tax rates and provide for the collection of taxes for the year 2024 be enacted and passed, and to read and clerk be authorized to sign the seal. So this is final reading? Or have we done, didn't we do 2 readings already, or am I mistaken?
Through your worship, there would have been an interim tax levy bylaw, so that was set prior to the adoption of the budget.
Okay, so can I get a motion for this one? Rob and Sherry, any discussion? All in favor? Carrie, thank you. And the next one, we have public meeting to receive comment on this one. The bylaw 2024 be numbered, fees and charges bylaw be enacted and passed, and that the reading clerk be authorized to sign the seal. I get a mover and second to get this one on the floor, please. Wendy and Crystal Lee, Southeast your elbow, Crystal. So any comments and consideration? We have had one submission from Mr. Doring, and it was pointed out that this could be somewhat of an impediment to development.
Yes, I read Mr. Sear's letter and his chart, and I hadn't really thought about this bylaw in this way when I was reading it, because it didn't percentages and things like that. And when you see that, one of them's going to be raised 100% and another one 42% and another one 33% and all that, and then you think about the gas prices, you think about the price of groceries right now, you think about the prime lending, is it going to go up or not, and all of that. And I kind of agree with Mr. Story, and that is maybe either now is not quite the time to implement something this substantial, or that we increase it, but maybe not like 100% or 42%. We tweak the numbers a little bit to make it a little more palatable. And I'm not exactly sure where I stand with that, but I do think that in the current economic climate, I'm not sure if these increases are in the best interest for our constituents.
Any other comment? So the assumption is that those percentage calculations are correct. I didn't go back to check, but I wonder, Jake, if you could weigh in, maybe a little context, the last time the fees were changed, what the basis is for your calculation and cost recovery and all that.
Yeah, thank you, Breed Wise. The last time that we're going from $110. So let's start from square one. This is a baseline minimum that usually doesn't come into play. And that's something I actually explained to Mr. Storing. You know, when I get a building application for a 2,000 square foot house and it says $500,000 on the estimate that you're required to like write down, I usually just work off of that estimate on the building application. And you know, for years that always worked. I mean, the $110 a square foot was just something that never really came into play because, you know, the actual cost of that most people were writing on their building application was somewhere around like $300 or $200 a square foot, right? Lately, we've been getting more and more kind of out of town developers calling ahead before they even, I mean, they're in the game, they know the game, they've got, you know, assistants working on applications and saving them money. And they call ahead and they want your fees by law and they want to go over it before they put in the application so they can write the cheapest price down, not the actual price they're going to actually spend on this house, but they want to go over your fees and they want to, you know, basically put the cheapest number in that they can get allowed, you know, at that minimum value. And it's kind of I mean, a lot of the bigger urban centers have went away and that you just pay a flat square footage fee, right? And the only problem with that is if you build an extravagant house, you know, currently you're paying, you know, a larger fee for that. And, you know, some may say that's okay, and that's maybe the system we should be going to. But yeah, I've just always enjoyed, I guess, the larger rates for the extravagant house, and it just kind of helps with budgets. But I guess where I'm getting back to is that this fee that everybody's talking about is usually something that you know, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't even play the role of, you know, it's not something that's actually, you know, establishing a fee because they've generally wrote down double that on their building application. And it's just lately that these developers are analyzing our fees and then writing down the cheapest. And it's kind of created a system where the liars are walking out with a half price fee. And I was trying to get this $1.40 to some place where the liars were actually walking out with almost a similar price to the people that were honest. And that's where I was going with this. I actually am not a person who likes gouging. That $1.10 that we're raising from, that's what I inherited in 2013. I've never raised it. I've always prided myself on having cheap building permits. And one thing that as we sit around here talking about, you know, maybe we should worry about the fees. Well, we're doing a development charges study, which is going to create way more costs. That all this little dollars and cents that we're talking about is going to pale in comparison to when the development charges bylaw is passed. And that the development charges kind of is not something that I have pushed for, but then other people around me have pushed for, and that's how we got into the developmental charges study. I've never heard Mr. Storing bring up, you know, any opposition to that, but certainly when we pass it, and it will be however many thousand per house, that's when he really should be looking at, you know, this is gonna cost, a person trying to build a house, a lot of money. I've never heard Robert Storing get into the educational development charges, which are imposed on our township. What's like $1,000 a permit now, and that we have no control over it. He talked about impost fees, but I don't know if anybody read anything in our, it's not impost fees. Development charges are applied in rural, in South Frontenac and Loyalist and Napanee. There's no water and services going into all those rural houses. And so they're not impost fees, they're development charges. Anyways, I was just kind of giving you a little background that this increase, I was just trying to make it fair for the people who are actually given an honest number on their application.
So-
Happy to take questions on it.
Yeah, any questions for Jake? That's Rob. Go ahead.
Jake, you've got so much experience in this. The building that Mr. Storing describes as first estimate, I really appreciate the fact you did these numbers up. It does help you get a gist of it. 1,500 square foot home, double car garage, 10 by 15 deck, 2.5 baths. Sounds like your standard dwelling. Would it be safe to say that a home like that might come in around $400K? Talking vinyl siding, everyday stuff. Does that sound about right, or am I like high or low based on your experience on that roughly?
Through your revise, are you asking me how much, if I were estimating it would be, or if you were actually constructing this, how much it would be?
What I'm trying to get at is I just let's use that number just for Snickers. It doesn't really mean anything. We're just talking here openly. If that home were $400,000 to build that home, and he's got numbers here of a $900 lift in the fees on that home. When you break that out, it's 1/4% increase on the overall cost of the home. That's the numbers I'm looking at, because he's got percentages, I'm looking at that, sure. So when you think about someone building a home of this caliber, and then the increase in the fee is $900 total based on this scenario, that's a pretty minor increase, really. Like for the person constructing the home, I'm just trying to get just to what that home would be valued at when it's constructed.
Sorry, you finish up?
Yeah.
That's something good.
Yeah, we had you, I'm sorry. Right in the middle of something, or reading something. I really think that most of the things that have been suggested here are viable. As our building inspector has said, most of these fees haven't been changed since 2013. We've held the line for a long, long time. And we've cherry-picked a couple, Robert's cherry-picked a couple that are $100 increase in the building permit. It's 100%, well, it's $100. It's like $1 to $2 situation, I'm really in favor of doing this myself.
So, anyone else? So Jake, just so I'm clear, and I'm still a little in the dark about how you calculate your building permit. You calculate it based on the actual dollar estimate rather than on a square footage basis at this point. Is that generally the case?
So yeah, if you read the building bylaw, it kind of describes that hybrid approach where I go for the higher of the baseline fee versus your estimate. The only way I use that baseline fee is if you're kind of smart and you've read our bylaw and you know what our baseline fees are, or if you somehow suggest that it's going to be less than our baseline. And like I said, when I got off the phone with a developer and they're like, oh, $110 a square foot, you knew they were going to get this permit for like $2,000 and they were licking their chops. And you just sold a permit to a guy who was honest, that's from Stone Mills Township, and he grew up here, and him and his wife just walked out with the kids with, for the same house for $5,000. And it really irritated me.
So this change will catch on those low dollars then?
Yeah, well, now when they call and they say, what's your minimum square footage? I'll say it's $140 a square foot. And then that's somewhere near the honest answers that I'm getting on the application without, people reading our bylaw before they put in an application. And another thing that we haven't mentioned here was, well, I mean, it would be smart to talk about revenues and expenses in the building department. But in my conversations with Robert, he never mentioned, maybe some changes, like we added another building inspector, and so we have some added costs moving forward that we didn't have in the past. And unfortunately, with wages going up, it's not as cheap to have a fleet of building inspectors, at your disposal anymore. So that's just another thing that I thought maybe should have been mentioned that I didn't have that conversation with Robert. So.
Yeah, it's about cost recovery at the end. Anything else? Yes, Doug?
Yeah, just how does the increases compare with our neighbors?
Yeah, I was thinking that you had that at your, like I did an entire report and it was at your fingertips. Is that
I didn't see it, sorry, Gene.
the per square footage? The per square foot? So, I mean, there's some, like at South Frontenac, I believe, had it estimated at $1.45. It's worth noting though that again, at like South Frontenac, Loyalist Township, Napanee, the only time that number comes into play is when somebody actually reads it and it is the number that really is the most important is the $11 per thousand or 1.1%. And when I say that Central Frontenac, South Frontenac's at 1.7%, so this kind of works the same way as taxes in the sense that my number that we're all debating is your assessment number, whereas the mill rate is that 1.1 or $11 per thousand, and that's where we come in at. There's two variables in this to think about, and we're tied with Napanee at $11 per thousand, but South Frontenac's there at 1.7. Loyalist is at 1.7, meaning that they're for every $1,000 worth of construction, however you estimate that, you've got to pay $17 in those other municipalities. You're only paid $11 here, and that's why I held the line on the percent on essentially, if you were in taxation terms, on the mill rate. It's just that the establishing the value of the construction value that we're talking about. And I've just tried to explain that generally speaking, most people write their honest number down because, most people aren't schooled. It's usually in this municipality, it's still generally not developers taking out most of the permits. And so, I'm working off of the honest number on the application, generally speaking, and not off of the number that's calculated by the building department. Anyways.
Great. Anything else? We have a motion on the floor. Sorry, Wendy, did you have something?
No.
No, okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Okay. Sorry, I just lost my place here. Okay, bylaw 2024 being a bylaw to amend building bylaw 2020-1051. We recommend a motion is that bylaw to amend building bylaw 2020-1053 be enacted and passed, and that the read and clerk be authorized to sign and seal. Can I get a motion to put that on the floor, please? Priscilla and Wendy. So, just remind me what this one is for. Is this to get rid of the old tariff of fees bylaws that?
So the previous building bylaw will still be in existence, 2020-1051. It'll just amend the definition of the fees and tariffs bylaw, because it references the fees and charges, it references the fees and tariffs bylaw number, which has now been effectively repealed by council. So it'll just reference fees and charges bylaw. And anytime the fees and charges bylaw is amended, you won't have to go back and amend.
Right.
So it's just getting rid of the number essentially.
Okay, so it's a housekeeping one. Okay, any discussion on that? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thanks, Brian. Okay, staff reports. treasurer has a report here. This is our statement of operations, which replaces our old monthly accounts. So this is our sort of budget to date. And the motion is that council receive the first quarter statement of operations report showing the expenses as it relates to the 2024 budget prepared by the treasurer. And I get a motion on the floor for that. That's Sherry and Wendy. Any discussion? Did you want to speak to this, Anita, just to the new format and what you provided here?
Thank you, Reeve Wise. I thought that maybe it would be nice to see something quarterly since we eliminated the monthly reports from the accounts payable and payroll. Going through that previously, I found that it did not include information that would have maybe came through the bank that wasn't recorded on some of those statements that we were receiving. So this report is automatically generated through the system, and it has a really nice comparison with the actual budget. And if you like it, I'll continue providing that quarterly. And if there's any questions as to some more detail, you can contact me anytime.
Thank you. So the left-hand column is the complete annual 2024 budget, and the right-hand column is the to-date expenditures from actual expenditures. That's how you laid it out. Is that correct?
Yes, Revive. Right.
Okay, so this would be to March 31st, and the next one will be to June 21st, and so on.
Yes, hopefully they'll be on the first meeting of the month after each quarter.
Great. Any questions or comments? Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I really like this. I like the look of it. It's very clean. It's easy to understand. If you have any questions about, why something appears to be, out of whack, it's very simple to raise a question because it's just so easy to read. Thank you.
Wendy, did you have something? Go ahead.
I just want to echo Linda's comments. I do like this. I also noticed, I did a little math, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we're actually under budget this first quarter from what we budgeted, because I know this is for the year, correct?
Yes, thank you. Through Reeve-Wise, we do have different projects that happen throughout the year. So generally in the first quarter, it's pretty light. And as we get on to the summer in the construction area and purchasing, once the budget is passed, then we get a little bit more into expenses. And of course, billing the final tax bill, which we've just passed the bylaw.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, Clerk's Department, 8.3.1, Claim Ontario Special Event Permit Application. Recommended motion is that this application be conditionally approved. Council authorize event organizers to attend the site on Doyle Road on April 27th, conduct sound testing, and on May 4th, 5th, and 11th to begin setting up. And that council authorize the Regional Clerk to execute the attached draft land use agreement, provided there are no significant changes, and that the fee for the use of the land be in the amount of $10,000, and the council provide a noise exemption for the site of the event on the condition that the event organizers follow the sound policies attached to this report and included within the land use agreement. We have a motion on the floor. That's Doug and Sherry. Did you want to elaborate on this at all, Brandy?
Thank you, Reeve Wise. I don't have anything further to add to the report. Since writing of this report, the organizers have submitted their final burn plans for the two structures that are going to be burned. They've also provided their certificate of insurance, which I forwarded to the township's policyholder, and they had no concerns about the insurance provided.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Items for consideration, the Newburgh Lions Club requested some assistance for improvements at Centennial Park. Motion is the council receive the request and provide direction. Can I get that on the floor, please? Rob and Doug, any discussion or questions on this request? Yes, Doug?
This is a normal request that we get from the Newburgh Lions every couple of years. For those that don't know it, they have, as one of their projects, they look after or do a lot of maintenance in the Barley Lake Park, but do it free of charge. The road super's not here, but I'm sure that if we referred this to him, he would be supportive and a couple load to gravel and that sort of stuff. And I would move that we would accept that or forward it to the road superintendent for his approval.
Okay, so we'll add that to the initial motion then. I do move it, but if that's okay with you, Doug, we'll just amend the initial motion. Any discussion? That's great, all in favor? That's carried, thank you. New business and statements from members. Yes, Rob, go ahead.
Yeah, so lots of good news stuff. I was able to attend the Lions Management Chamber of Commerce Awards night that night. And I'm very proud to say that our Stonewall businesses were recognized highly, which was really great. McCormick's store in Camden East was the proud winner of the Milestone Award, and they were also nominated for the Customer Service Award. Stone Corner Cafe, right across the road, they were nominated for the New Business Award. The Black Cat Cafe in Tamworth won the Community Beautification Award, and they were also nominated for Hospitality and Tourism, so they got a double nod. A1 Corner Restaurant right in Tamworth was nominated for the Customer Service Award, and I'd like to shout out to the Salvage Garden Enterprise. They attended in support of the chamber and also just to support their businesses, the Stone Hills that were nominated, which I thought was great. It was a great night, and considering there were only 10 awards handed out, we came into 20% of that with our little township, and that's covering all of Hamilton County. So I was really, really excited to be there and part of that. So congratulations to all the winners and the nominees. And we actually had an anonymous, I don't want to name them because they probably want to name anonymous, this is the one, but we actually had another Stone Mills business that was nominated, and just because they just didn't want to do it, they refused the nomination, if you can imagine. They just prefer to operate under the radar and look after all this. And if I said the name, you know why. That's the kind of people they are. And we've got lots of this wonderful. So actually, we did even better than people even know. In addition to that, I got a couple things here which are great. I got an email, it's actually a text from a friend of mine who lives out of the township and wanted to make sure, and I'll just read this to you. Good morning, can I ask a favor? Last evening, we had a call, or had to call 911 to get help from my father at a hunting camp. He had a four-wheeler pinned on him for most of the day. He was pinned underneath the four-wheeler for 6 or 7 hours. Could you possibly pass on to the Stone Mills Fire Department, which I believe was Station 200 in this case? Thank you to all the firefighters who came out just off the California Road last evening, April 9th, to help me out of the woods. He's doing great, and thank you very much. And just so people know, the unit we used was the cyber that they used, the side-by-side rural wood response unit, UTV unit, side-by-side unit. It was donated by Lennox Fencing, and it was exactly the right tool for the job they had there. So it's nice when you see some of this equipment we have, and you wonder how much it gets used, and all of a sudden it saves again. It's pretty powerful stuff. So that was really nice to get, and I just wanted to make sure I got that out there. So thumbs up to our fire crew, first responders. And I got another email from someone on Huffman Road saying thanks to the Stone Mills Road crew for cleaning up after plow season. The folks on that road are very appreciative. Great job. And we all get the calls and the emails about potholes and everything else. It's nice to get somebody saying, you know, we appreciate the things that the folks at staff does. So I just want to make sure I got that. So there you go.
Good, that's especially good to hear about the unit that we used to save the help. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, favorites up right there. Yeah, even though it's donated, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thanks, Rob. Anyone else? Business or statements from members? Okay, so we have a closed meeting pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act. This is to discuss an item which relates to advice subject to solicitor-client privilege on a bylaw enforcement matter. So we have to go offline. Can I have a motion to move into closed session? Linda and Sherry, all in favor? Carried, thank you. You can shut down the feed there, Ron.